Later that same evening.
Therapy session. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am good in this moment. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Where are you at? You're in a different spot.
I'm at my mom's house.
Ah, okay. I figured you were somewhere different.
Yeah. There's been a lot that's happened in the last few days.
Okay, tell me about it.
Well, remind me not to talk too long because it's a lot. But I lost all my friends.
How did that happen?
They were tired of me complaining about my husband in so many words. They felt I should have left him the day that I went to the movies with my mom. And so basically, I had been trying to get them to understand that I was seeing him in a new light.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to have a chance.
Oh, sorry, that chat thing that just came up is that check-in thing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it just popped up.
I can do it real quick. It doesn't take that long.
But at the end, when it says, "Are you at home?" or "Where are you?"
Yeah.
Put other, and then put the address to your mom's house.
Okay.
And then I'll be able to retrieve that, and I can change it in that. It's just for the session note
Do we have?
that require for us to put the address of where you're located. So
Okay. I had to think about her address real quick.
you don't have to have the zip code and everything. I don't think, just the
Okay. And this is today's date.
March 1st. You can just put the session time at 6:00 or whatever, or 6:00. You just put 6:00.
Okay. I got it.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Is that light bothersome because you can't see me?
No, it's fine.
Okay. How's that? Okay, so I was opening a new space in my heart for me to understand that his autism, his way of being angry and everything and rageful and all that is his form of an autistic meltdown. And
Right.
so I was at least allowing this compassion to come through for me so I can, I don't know if my brain was looking for a way to stay with my addiction or if my heart was just trying to see him, like basically get rid of the hate. I was just trying to, even myself out, I think, is what it felt like. It felt like, like when you have to overcorrect your vehicle to prevent yourself from, steering off the wrong way. That's what it felt like. It felt like an overcorrection. And he really appreciated that I was allowing this space. And I think it messed with him a little bit more, because we connected again, the honeymoon phase, blah, blah, blah. We were going down that thing again. And then when he started having these episodes, I would talk to him more gently and I would try to get him to see this is just a moment. You need to remember you're having a moment of doubt. You're here, you're safe, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it would work, but most of the time it wouldn't. And so that's where I was like, maybe it's not so much autistic and it's more narcissistic and it's more love trauma and it's more abuse and it's not so much of the autism thing as I was thinking,
Were you tempted to fawn to make up the difference?
Not so much fun to make it better for him, like do what he wanted me to do, but definitely there to want to fix it. Like I took more of a therapy approach
Okay.
rather than a wife approach, or rather than a take it personal victim approach. You know what I mean? So I was just being really calm and gentle with him, trying to get him to go back to baseline. You know what I mean? And it didn't work because he saw me as the enemy. So it just put me on a loop because I couldn't get my stranger, I call them my stranger friends, to buy in to what I needed on the daily, which was support on how I can figure this out. And then my husband was still accusing me of wanting to leave him because I still was affirmative that, yes, I can have this space for you, but I also need to have this week away. And I think I told you about that on Tuesday. And he flipped out on me, and he just wasn't able to cope with that basically all week. And as March 1st approached and I was really getting serious about something, I just didn't know what exactly, on Wednesday or Thursday, I came up with the idea that I was going to go to Utah, where they're having a thing for my aunt who passed away last year. And so I thought it was like a good reason to go this time. And I would stay at her house because it's vacant, and I'd have a week of respite by myself. And it would also exercise my freedom, so Jim would have to deal with it. It would also give me a less financial obligation of not having to rent a space right away. So it just seemed like a really good idea, the best idea that I could get me and the noodles to come up with, right? And rather than leaving on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, we were like, the only time we're going to leave is on March 1st at midnight. That's the soonest we're breaking free from here, because that was the date we've been setting, and we weren't ready before that for some reason. It was a very specific time and day. We'll sneak out of the house at this time when he's sleeping. We're going to not call him until we're 7 hours out, past Flagstaff, then call him and give him the bad news that we're in Utah. We're going to be here for the week, take care of the kids. I had already told the kids that I was leaving. I already prepped them, told them I'd call them every morning to make sure that they had their, teeth brushed and get to school on time and stuff. So I had all these bases covered, but I wouldn't be able to tell him until I was like too far away to turn around. You know what I mean? Like because I knew I would fawn and figure out a way to come back.
Right.
So meanwhile, I'm trying to get my friends caught up with what my plan is, and they're crashing and burning and being all kinds of ridiculous on Friday. They were calling me self-absorbed and selfish, and that I wasn't a friend for them. And I'm just like, hold on, I'm going through the biggest thing of my life. I'm going through crisis after crisis. I'm struggling with suicidal ideation, which they all knew about. And I wasn't trying to be this, oh, poor pity me. I wasn't draining on them and contacting them all hours of the night. I wasn't doing anything. They were coming to me at a specific time. They chose in to do our group thing. So they could have chosen out, and a lot of times they did. They chose self-care over, crystal time, right? So I appreciated it every single day. I never took advantage of it. I'd never, as far as my take on it, and I didn't feel like I did anything terrible. But in hindsight, opening up vulnerable to anybody, people can only take so much. I get it. So they didn't put down their boundaries way long ago. They didn't say this was bothering them when it started bothering them. They have accountability in how this all ended also, and instead of them being upfront with me, it just all blew up in everybody's face. And now they're all meeting without me, and I don't know, they're making all kinds of, I don't know, they're just not being very healthy. They're just not being cool. And I'm kind of just letting go of that whole thing. I kind of saw them as this cocoon that I was in, like this, they wrapped me in this love and support while I'm in the cocoon. And now I've got my wings, and I can't use other people's wings to fly. I'm going to have to use my own, and I'm going to have to do this alone. I can't trade one addiction of, Jim for another of my friends,
Right.
So that's
healthy, though.
Right.
That's a healthy way to look at it.
That's how I've looked at it. So that's why I'm like, okay, Crystal, it's okay to let them go. And I kept thinking something was coming too. Like I kept thinking maybe March 1st is also when I stopped doing my daily group thing, and I need to probably stop doing my video journals for a while too. And it just seemed like a natural transition that was coming And then when it all crashed and burned, I'm like, this is how it all ends. Okay, well, that's interesting. Bye, guys. But it was painful at the same time, and I had to honor that, too.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so that was Friday. And then Saturday, where's that?
I need to move your vehicle.
Oh, crap. I'm sorry. My mom's parked behind me, and they're going to be leaving.
It's okay. I can wait, whatever you have to do.
Let me go see if I can find my keys real quick.
Sure.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, I'm Brian. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. I'm Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, that's a pretty name.
Thank you.
I love that name. So you're over at your grandma's house?
Mhm.
Ah, okay. What are you guys doing?
I was just on my phone. I think my brother is also on his phone or watching a movie.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
What do you do on your phone? Do you like TikTok?
I
You ever watch
sometimes go on TikTok, but I like just watching YouTube videos more or watching anime. Right now I was playing a video game.
Yeah. How old are you?
12.
12. Okay. Yeah, I have 6 kids. So I have a 10-year-old boy, and then I have a 14 and a 15-year-old boy.
Oh, cool.
And then I've got 3 girls too.
How old are they?
My girls are older. My girls are 19, 22, and 25.
I'm leaving Mitzi. Can I leave her in here?
Is that,
Yeah, sure.
is that your doggy?
She's gonna
That's
be
my
trying
aunt's dog.
Oh, your aunt's dog.
Yeah. My dog's at my
to tell her
house.
I'm leaving.
All right,
Okay.
Brooklyn, she's leaving now.
Cool.
Anyways, I gotta go. Me and my
All
grandma.
right. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, baby girl. Brooklyn, shut the door. Thank you.
She's so sweet.
She's a sweetheart. She has been such a big help to me. That was the part of what I was going to tell you is on Saturday, Matthew just miraculously, I seriously believe in miracles this week. It's been really weird, but he miraculously came to me and said, Mom, my friend, his best friend, took him to go jumping a few weeks ago in the jumping things, you know, and it was an all-day thing. He's like, they spent so much money. I think they spent $100 because he's really paying attention to money these days. And he says, I really want to do something like that for him in return. Do you think we can go to the movies on Saturday? And I'm like, movies, bub. Like, he knows, like, I don't go to the movies.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, well, you went to the movies last week with Grandma Mary, so maybe I can take Dad. Do you think Dad would like to go to the movies with me and Sebastian? And I'm all, you can go ask him, sure, see what he says. And so Jim's trying to connect with the kids more so than he ever has, and he agreed to take Matthew and Sebastian to go see the Tom and Jerry movie. And that's when I took that opportunity to grab Brooklyn, and we went and looked at apartments.
Mm.
And I left my phone at home so the tracker app wouldn't show where I was at, and I was really nervous, and I was shaking real bad, and I was figuring out prices. I wanted to know immediately what was available. And she said, well, in a week or two, we have a 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor, another 1-bedroom on the 2nd floor that will be ready in a few days. And I'm just like, okay, you know. And she goes, are you looking to move right away? And I'm like, well, yeah, I probably better like get started now so I can not change my mind kind of thing and just get going, you know. And she says, well, I do have, she just said, that's all I have for the 1-bedrooms. And I go, well, do you have anything on the 1st floor? Because I just had surgery and stairs are still really hard for me. It's still something I'm working on in physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, I do have a 2-bedroom available today on the 1st floor. And it's going to be more expensive, but then I could bring my kids and not feel like I didn't think of them, you know.
Right.
So she went and showed it to me, and it's brand spanking new, newly remodeled and renovated, right next to the laundry area, right next to the parking. So it feels really safe. I don't have to go very far to do things, you know?
Yeah.
I've never been on my own, never lived in an apartment by myself before. So it was a huge step for me just to even be looking. And she gave me the amount so that I would need, and we figured out that I wouldn't be able to qualify by myself with my income alone. So she said if my mom could help me by adding her to the lease, and we add my mom's income and stuff and her credit, that I might qualify. And yeah, basically, my mom showed up real quickly on Saturday, and we put down money for the application. We put down money for the deposit so they can hold it, right? And then I just played the waiting game. I waited all day Saturday to find out if I was going to qualify, if I was going to get the apartment or not. And my nerves were just, so instead of going to Utah, that's basically the miracle that happened on Saturday morning is I woke up thinking about this Utah trip, but realizing that it would just be another Band-Aid. I'd come back from Utah, $500 broke, right? From this gas trip back and forth, and I'd still have to deal with the same old shit. So what is stopping me from looking at a place now? And the first thing I did when I woke up Saturday morning was I called movers, and I asked if they ever did, same day emergency moves for domestic situations and stuff like that. Because I was really just going rampant in my mind with, okay, he's going to be at the movies from this time. Maybe I can get all my stuff out. Maybe I can, you know what I mean? So I was just thinking of all these ideas. And so I had movers kind of sort of on hold, trying to figure it out. And I was looking at an apartment, needed a place for the movers to put stuff. And she said that one was available. My mom put the thing down. Now we're just waiting, hoping to hear something by Saturday night. And they end up closing at 5:00, and I never heard anything. And so I'm antsy as heck, and I don't want to spend the night there. I don't want to pretend anymore. I don't want to be this person I'm not. Jim's being extra loving. He's being extra, like, he can tell something's up because I'm not really warm and fuzzy back. But he has absolutely no idea what's going on. And I didn't tell him, and I was about ready to, right? And my brother mentioned something because my mom told my brother, I'm over here helping Crystal co-sign on a lease. And so my brother's contacting me going, Crystal, you should come down here. Oh my gosh, because he's been waiting for me to get out of this relationship because I never see him because of my husband, right?
Right.
And so as soon as I had that idea in my head, I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to go down to Tucson tonight. Jim won't go for that. Well, if Jim really wants to show me he's changing, he can let the leash a little long. And so I said, hey, I was thinking about going to Tucson tonight and spend the night at my brother's. And he's like, you know how I feel about that? And I go, I know. And I also know that you know how I feel about not being able to do things. And he's like, well, if you did a day trip or something, that's one thing. But I don't really care for the spending the night idea. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing to compromise. Maybe I can go there in the morning, I just wasn't ready to fight with him, and I am trying to work with this compromise thing. And he, instead of him being cool and compromise, he's like, fine, whatever, go. And he gets all irritated, and then that's when the fawning started. That's when the noodles were like, why do you got to do this? Why you got to make it feel like I can't even have, like, simple things that I want? Why does your wants always trump mine? Because you just throw that guilt trip and you make me feel like I'm not supposed to talk about things, which is why I don't talk about things. That's why I don't ask for things. And that was Saturday night, and he was getting angry and started yelling, and I left him alone, and I went to the next room, and he was blaming me for getting upset with him, for getting upset with me. And it just was one of those nasty fights that we usually have. And I started to, I wanted to change clothes. And I started to grab some clothes to change into. And I was going to take a shower real quick. Not for any reason whatsoever, except that I just needed to get out of what I was wearing. I was running around, and I just wanted to wear something different now, right? So I'm in the bathroom, I'm getting undressed, I'm starting the shower, and he barges in and he's all, let's just find you another place to live. Let's just do it right now. You're gonna move out of here. You're already on your way out. I know you don't want to be here, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know how to do this. And I don't know if I'm going to get the apartment. I don't know if I'm not. I don't know if I should fawn. I don't know if I should please. I don't know if I should hold space for him. Like, I'm just a mess. And I'm crying naked in the bathroom, just trying to appease him. And he gets more forward and forward. And just, I basically feel really trapped. And then he starts telling me, oh, just admit it. You've never wanted this relationship. You never tried. And I go, I ain't admitting it. I ain't admitting that. I know I've tried. I know I've done really well. He goes, whatever. You haven't tried. Just admit it. And I go, you can believe what you want to believe, but I know I tried and I don't have to admit to that. And he got really angry and he picks up one of his new bricks that he melted down with his new hobby. And he chucks it at the wall, makes a big dent in it. And this thing is like a weapon. Like, this is heavy aluminum metal now.
Right? It's metal, right?
Yeah, it's like a brick. Yeah, it's an ingot, as I guess they call it. And it makes a big dent in the wall. And I'm like, oh, now you're scaring me. And I verbalized it, which I don't usually when he gets violent like that. But my heart was beating fast. I felt cornered, naked, vulnerable as heck in the bathroom, not sure what to do or what to say. How do I calm him down? And I go, I know you don't want to act like this. This is just your anxiety talking. I'm still trying. And he goes, oh, fuck you, and he's yelling and screaming and getting all angry. And I said, I'm just going to take a shower and I'm just going to get these clothes on. I'm just going to leave you alone. You need to take care of you and I need to take care of me. That's all we can do right now. So you can just please leave, I kept shutting the door and he kept barging in, shutting the door, barging in. Finally, he comes in and he goes, I'm just going to take your stuff and I'm just going to put it in the car for you, okay? I'm going to start. And I go, don't you touch my stuff. Little did he know most of my stuff was already packed. All my essentials are already in the car. Brooklyn helped me pack them while we were in that window of Jim at the movies. And everything I needed, all of my clothes, everything I needed, not everything. But I didn't want him to go to the car to start packing things and find out that I'd already packed everything. So I'm like, don't you dare touch my stuff. And he goes, oh, I can touch your stuff if I fucking want to. And I'm like, no. And he's like, watch me. I'll put it on the side of the street and I'll put a set of match on fire. And I'm like, okay, now you're threatening me. You just scared me by throwing something that could really hurt somebody. And you're cornering me. And I do not feel safe right now. I am going to call your parents. And he goes, don't you fucking get them involved. And I go, then I'm going to have to call the police, And he was like, oh, I don't know why you got to freaking think you got to involve. He just starts getting really angry and he starts backing away. And finally, I'm able to shut the door all the way and latch it. And my phone's in the other room, but I had my phone watch. And I'm going into the shower and I'm starting to wash down. And I called my oldest stepson's girlfriend, so she's kind of like a daughter-in-law, and she her and I talked recently, and so she pretty much was up to speed with things, and she's only 5-10 minutes away, super close. She's right down the street, and I called her, but she missed the call, so she calls me right away, and she goes, okay, I know something's up when I miss a phone call from you. You never call. And she goes, what's going on? And I says, is Brandon off of work yet? And she goes, no. She goes, yeah, he is. He's home right now. And I go, do you think he can come over? And she says, is Jim having a fit or something like that? And I go, yeah. And she goes, and he's scaring you? And I go, yes. And she goes, I'm on my way. Brandon's on. I'll call Brandon. We're on our way. And I'm shaking and trembling in the shower on my watch, trying to talk to her. And by the time I'm done with my shower, and I was probably only just 5 minutes shower or something, I get dressed and I come out. And I hear Jim cursing, calling me, the C word and the B word and everything under the sun. And Brandon walks in the door and was listening to Jim call me all these names. And he goes, come here, Dad, let's go. And he goes over to the side of the house. And Jim basically falls apart on Brandon, just, and complaining and calling me names and then going back to crying. And I'm grabbing everything I need. I take the kids. I don't feel safe with the kids. I don't feel safe leaving the kids there. And then I get in the car and I say, okay, we're going to Tucson, And Matthew's jumps out of the car and he's like, I'm not going to Tucson. You want to go to your mom's house? That's fine, but we're not going to Tucson. Like, he's standing his ground. I'm like, okay, Matthew, we'll go to my mom's house. And so we start heading to my mom's house. And on my way to my mom's house, I'm trembling so bad and I'm crying and I'm sobbing and I start slowing down. And now I'm going like 2 or 3 miles per hour. And the kids are noticing and they're all, what's wrong, Mom? And Brooklyn knows why I don't want to go to my mom's and Matthew didn't. And I had to explain it to him that my mom symbolizes running away. It symbolizes giving up. It symbolizes, not trying hard enough. And I feel like I've tried hard enough. I need rest. I need safety. I don't need to feel worse about what I'm doing. So, plus it's so close. It's in Sun City. So it didn't feel like it was far enough of a distance to keep my noodles from going back to him or keep Jim from running to us. So I really liked the idea of Tucson for the night because it gave us a nice chunk of space, like you say, between the obsession and the compulsion,
Right.
I really liked that. And it really gave us a good chance to bond and talk together on the way down to Tucson. And even though we didn't talk the whole time, sometimes we were listening to music, sometimes we were just quiet, sometimes they were telling me stories about their things. It was just, we had never had that much time together in so many months because I've always been such a broken, depressed mom all day in the house and stuff,
Yeah, well, you're focused on trying to keep things together.
Right. And I could barely even pay attention to a couple sentences that they said, let alone a whole 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
So I get to my brother's, which took a while to get there because I asked Randy to tell Brandon to call me after. And so my kids were inside at my brother's before I said hi to my brother. And I was on the phone with Brandon for like a good hour and he told me what him and his dad talked about. And basically I got the thumbs up from Brandon that I was doing the right thing. Brandon told me that he saw the similarities between his mom and me, standing up to him, his dad, and his dad being the common denominator of this equation. He grew up with his dad. He knows his dad's temper. He knows his dad's everything, but he still loves his dad. So he's there supporting his dad, telling him, Dad, you were like this with me, and you were like this with strangers if they cut you off in the car. You have a problem, Dad. Basically giving him like an intervention reality check that Jim really needed. And yeah, Brandon was just super, super kind to me, basically saying, yeah, you guys need to have some time away. Don't contact him, Crystal. Let him contact you. And you guys can go from there, but I don't think we're doing him any favors by enabling him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, it gave me this sense of relief that I was doing the right thing, and I was able to enjoy time at my brother's for probably a good 12 hours before I started heading back to Phoenix.
Wow. I think you're seeing things a lot clearer now than you have in a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a scary thing. I know it's like scary, but it's also healthy.
Well, and it's not 100% of the time that I'm seeing it. So I'm constantly having cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, but what happens is that sometimes in the moments,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like the whole thing we talk about with perspective. When you're right in the middle of it, you don't always see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But when you remove yourself from it, you have a very clear picture of it.
Yeah, like zoom out. That's what one of my friends talked about. You zoom in so
Right.
close to a picture, you can't see the whole picture.
Right, exactly. And so that's the healthy thing about removing yourself from it for a while, is it gives you a very clear picture of it. But even in the last several months, because I remember when you and I first started talking, you always would say, I don't know if this is just in my head, or if he really does have issues, because it's always been made to look like your fault. And it always has been that way.
Right. Because I was brainwashed to think it was. Yeah.
Right, and part of it was him, blaming you, but another part of it was because of the addiction, you take the blame. It's almost being addicted to taking the blame to create peace in the house.
Right.
Right.
It was the antidote.
Yeah, right. But now, like even when you're in the middle of it, you still have these moments of clarity that I don't think you had before.
Right.
Where
Well,
you feel,
yeah.
where you feel validated, not just clarity like seeing it for what it is, but where you feel like I'm not crazy.
Right. It's
You know,
taken me
other
a while to
people see-
get there consistently and not fall back real quick.
Right, exactly. But it does seem like that you have a very clear picture of what's
Yeah.
happening and what's going on, which I think is extremely healthy. But it's also scary because it forces you to act, and that's the scary thing. That's why we sometimes shy away from that clarity, because we know if we believe it and it becomes reality that this is really what's happening, then we're forced to do something about it.
Right.
Right? It's like admitting it almost, like admitting that, it's not your responsibility to control it.
Right.
It's not your responsibility to change him. The problem has gotten out of control. And once you come to that clarity, it's like, okay, now I have to do something about it. Because I can't know that and just sit by and watch it happen.
It's like watching an accident about to happen and not doing anything to stop it.
Right, just sitting there and watching it, yeah.
Right.
So I do think that I understand that it's chaotic and it's scary and it's all new, but I do feel like it's healthy that you're seeing it. And you're not only just seeing his role in it, but you also, the thing I appreciate about you is you're able to acknowledge your participation in it.
Yeah.
Without trying to gloss over the details of your involvement. You've been very honest with, hey, I've created part of this too.
Right. I enabled it. I participated. I was a blank slate. I molded to what I thought he wanted. I wasn't honest with who I was to myself. How could I possibly be honest with him about what I wanted? There's so much. And plus fear, when we're fearful of rejection, or we're fearful of abandonment, or we're fearful of someone getting angry or rageful, it could really, fear is a really powerful motivator to make us do things that we otherwise wouldn't do. So I lived my life in fear, and for numerous reasons, my own fears and his. So yeah, the thing I want to make sure I get to is probably the biggest deal of it all. I come home yesterday and I dropped the kids off, and I just decided to use that time to breathe. So I'm sitting in the driveway breathing, and I guess Brooklyn mentions to him that I'm open to talking, which I did mention. I am open to talking, but I'm not open to obeying anymore. So I didn't say that to her, but he came out and said he's sorry, and then went back inside. And I didn't run after him. I didn't fawn after him. I didn't say nothing after his sorry. And I just stayed with the car, and I just kept thinking of all the things that I'd like to tell him. And the longer I sat there, the longer I realized, okay, once I tell him that, this is what he'll say. And then I say this, and then he'll say that. And then now it's not his fault that I left. Now it's going to be my fault that I'm going to leave because I'm not going to say something correctly. No, I think I like where we left it. I think I like that I left because he got angry and he was kicking me out and he was being threatening, and that's why I left. I'm not going to sit around here waiting for him to make it look like my fault,
Right.
So I'm like, Crystal, get out of here. So I'm glad I left when I did, even though I was like out there for like 30 minutes waiting for this talk that never happened. And sure enough, as soon as I pulled up to my mom's house, feeling pretty good about my decision, he calls me. Brooklyn says that you're willing to talk, and I'm all, sure, but I'm tough, I'm firm, and I'm not being weak as I talk to him, and he's trying to get me to listen, and he didn't even say sorry. He just was like, I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but he was saying something about something that I did, and he wouldn't have gotten mad like that if I wouldn't have done something like this. And I go, you hear that? That's part of the problem. If you think that you get to blame me for your anger, that's where I cannot get on board with that. So you can apologize to me when you're ready, and you might not be ready right away, and that's okay, but I can't talk to you anymore. So basically, long story short, there was like 3 conversations. He kept hanging up on me. He didn't like me standing up to him, but I kept holding my ground. My mom wanted to go to Target last night. I can't believe it was last night. Holy cow. And I'm still sick to my stomach, still got this migraine, still having a hard time just not puking because everything's just running throughout me. And I leave my phone at her house on purpose while we go to Target. But as I'm walking through Target, my mind is totally going through withdrawals. Like, I cannot fathom how bad those withdrawals were as I'm walking through Target. And I'm sure I'm going to have more too. But I was even considering going up to the Target information desk, asking to use their phone, calling Jim and begging him to come pick me up so we can work this out. And I had to stop everything I could just to say, no, Crystal, we're going to go look at the baby clothes, and we're going to go look at the toddler clothes, and we're going to go look at the little girl's clothes. And we're going to, like, I had to, like, focus so hard at not doing what I really, 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 really wanted to do to make this right for Jim. And I even had my mom call Matthew to make sure the kids were safe, because my mind started going crazy about Jim going off and hurting the kids or making them scared or something, you know. And Matthew wouldn't answer, so I'm still like, ah. But my mom is so tired of me talking about it that she won't allow me to just open up like I'm opening up to you right now. And like I was opening up to my friends every day. So I was feeling extremely alone because I didn't have my friends to lean on. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I felt like I was just going crazy in my head. And I finally get in the car, and my mom's trying to just make light of it and be happy and whatever. And we get back to the house, and I'm trying to fall asleep, and I can't. And I think I finally fell asleep at about 2 or 3 in the morning. And I woke up this morning at 6:58, inspired to wake up for some reason. And I look at my phone, and Jim had sent me a few text messages. It was apologizing profusely. It was very loving, very kind, not at all blaming, not at all, a little bit of pity, you know, self-pity, but very accountable, very responsible. He even said that he reached out to Monique, his ex-wife, and apologized to her, and he showed me what he sent her. He even said he sent text messages to his 2 older boys, and he even told me he apologized to our kids in person. So he's telling me all of this in this text message, and I don't know what to say. Like, I'm going to go over to the kids to see the kids to help them get ready for school anyway, to make sure they get out the door. So I was already starting to leave, and I text him and I says, are you going to work today? And he says, no. And I said, is it all right if I come over and talk to you? And he goes, sure, if you want. And I get over there, I get the kids out the door and stuff, and we're having this really tough conversation where I'm just doing my best not to go off on him because I really want to, but recognizing he's in his accountable space, I find out that he was on the phone with the suicide hotline this morning, and he had checked himself into a behavioral, the Aurora behavioral place, and he had to be there by 10:30, and it was like 8 something in the morning. And I thought it was a ploy to like one-up me or pull at my heartstrings or get me to do something or say something. Like, so I was really angry that he was pulling this card, because I don't know how many times I've asked to go to a behavioral center because of my stuff, you know. And he completely always dismissed me or told me I didn't need to, or that's not going to help you, that's not going to fix your problems, blah, blah. Like, he'd always gaslight my experience to make me feel like it wasn't bad enough for that. So now I'm feeling like, okay, now if I leave him, movers are coming, you know, and I've got this apartment I'm still waiting to hear back from. And if I'm the one that leaves now, I'm the jerk because he's checked himself into a mental institution, you know? And I'm just like, I don't know if it's an institution, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I'm just like, so I basically accused him of it and told him, what are you trying to do? He says, Crystal, I really don't expect you to be here when I come back. And that's part of the problem, is I need to I need help and I need to go get help. And if I don't get help now, I'll definitely need help when you leave. And I'd rather start now. And all the things that you said that he should be saying to me, such as he's the one that needs to take a break. He's the one that needs to, all the stuff that you said he should be doing, he started doing this morning. And so I'm just kind of like in my own head spinning, going, what's he doing? Is this true? Do I love him? Do I kiss him? Do I tell him, no, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Stay here. We'll figure this out. But I didn't. I just let him do his thing. And I'm like, Crystal, let go. One of the analogies that I thought of was it's like our relationship has been on life support for 15 years and we keep hoping that it's going to revive itself. And that was the thing that made me realize on Friday night, and I woke up Saturday morning with that idea to get out, because I'm like a ghost hanging around that just needs to go to the light. I just need to go to the light and let him grieve and let him process and let him, because I keep coming back.
Right.
So he is in the behavioral center right now, and they have not called me yet to, I just realized my phone was ringing a couple of times and I thought it was the movers, but that may have been the Aurora letting him call me.
Yeah.
And
So where are you at now in your mind with this whole thing?
well, after I dropped him off, I went back to the house to wait for the movers, and I was feeling pretty good. Like this was a gentle pillow. This was an equal split. It wasn't his fault, my fault. It felt really good. Like, okay, he's taken accountability. I'm ready to grow and go on. And the kids were excited too. The kids were fine. We had our heart to heart. They were imagining the way the houses would look when mom's house and dad's house. Like that was the best part about all of it. So when I got home and the movers didn't show, it kind of started making me, okay, maybe I'm not ready for them to move. Maybe I need to wait for Jim to come back. What am I doing? I don't know. Like I kept trying to read into it, like magical thinking, like it's meant to be or something. And the darn apartment lady said she would call me back between 12 and 1. So by 2 o'clock, I'm freaking out that she hadn't called me back. The movers never showed. Now what do I do? And then I started thinking about how my friends were just pulling me away from him. And now they don't even want to be my friends. Maybe I shouldn't have listened to them. Maybe I should really stay with him. Maybe I'm supposed to be here with him. Maybe I'm supposed to stay here. This would save me money. Let me just stay here. I was spinning so bad. No anxiety medication, no ADHD medicine. I hadn't had my depression medicine in like 2 or 3 days.
How come?
Because of the chaotic of what's going on. I don't remember my medicine very well anyway. And then I was down in Tucson and my pills were in the car, and I'm really bad at remembering anyway. So it's just not something I think about until I'm like, oh, I haven't taken them. So I felt like my mind was clear enough to not be impeded by these substances, but maybe anxiety medication could have helped at that time. But instead I ended up taking a shower and I went to bed and I took a nap because I'd only had a few hours of sleep. And I kept the phone close by in case somebody called me, the mover or the apartments or Jim from the hospital. And I went to bed just going, the universe is going to show me. The universe is going to show me. The universe is going to show me. I got to keep trusting in that, because if I keep trying to control this, if I keep making it one way or another, it's not going to feel good. So at 4 o'clock, the kids came home and Matthew was mad. He was mad that I was sleeping in my bed, mad that Dad's car was there. Where's Dad? What's going on? I thought you were leaving. Why are you messing with me? Like, I thought you were going to go move into your own place. And I go, Bubba, I'm sorry. It's not working out exactly right. Your dad's going to go get some help for a few days. I don't know what's going on yet. I'm still planning on leaving, but I don't really know how it's going to happen yet. I'll let you guys know as soon as I know. And so he kind of calmed down for a bit. And then 20 minutes later, I got a phone call from the apartment people and they said I got the apartment. And I get to sign the lease tomorrow and move in tomorrow if I want. And it's going to be hell trying to figure out money situation, but my mom's helping me get started, and then I've got to probably get a second job and figure that out, and I'm going to do it because I need to. I need it, my kids need it, Jim needs it, everybody needs this, but I got to figure it out. And as I got the information, I wasn't really feeling all that excited about it right away because of all the crap I'd just been through all day. And I hang up the phone, and the first person I thought about talking to was these friends that I had come accustomed to. But I'm like, no, I think they're pulling me away from Jim. And then I'm like, I can't tell Jim. Don't want to tell Mom because she's pulling me away from Jim. And then first person I thought about telling was Brooklyn. Because Brooklyn went with me to go look at him. Brooklyn was encouraging me, holding me, comforting me when I was crying. She was the one that was telling me that I was doing the right thing this entire weekend. She never swayed from that. And she sees me in a way that I see myself in a way, And first person I thought about telling was Brooklyn, and I got excited. I got excited to tell her. And then I got excited to tell Matthew because he didn't want me at home. Not that he doesn't want me, but he wants us to be happy in our separate homes.
Be happy. And it'll be happier for them, and they know that.
Right. They know that instinctively. I don't think, because Matthew's having a hard time adjusting to this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's hard, but I'm telling you, I know one of your biggest fears is the kids.
Yeah.
Obviously. But the kids will be much happier seeing the two of you in a happy place.
That's what I told him too. I said, somewhere deep inside you, Matthew, you know that you want your parents to be happy, and this feels happier for you. That's why because he asked me, we went and looked at the apartments before I came to my mom's right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, is it bad that I'm excited about this? And I go, I know, Bubba. Brooklyn said the same thing the other day. And it's not bad, but I understand why you're asking that. And it's because you have something inside of you that wants it to have a balanced, happy life.
Right.
And I was talking about that. What'd you call it? Equalator? What'd you call it? You called it something where the family desires.
When the equilibrium.
Yes, the family desires that naturally, which is why those talks that you've talked to me about that makes sense. Why things are happening and why it's just. And so it does feel like this teeter-totter all weekend, all day today. It just felt like this tug back and forth. And once I knew I got the place, I'm like, okay, now I know what I need to do. Now it's not this ambiguous thing that I've been in all weekend,
Right, and now, like, if this all goes through, like, you need to start focusing on this is now when you focus on balancing yourself.
Right. This is my time to
do it, because now when you improve, it's not a trigger that causes you to regress.
Right.
Like, this is where, and I'm telling you, Crystal, you're an expert in this stuff. But you haven't been able to use all of these skills because every time you use one, it's like that balancing the marble on the plate.
Yes, I love that.
Talking about.
Right.
You don't have to do that anymore.
Thank you. And I appreciate that.
You can set that down and you can focus on yourself.
Right. That's exactly I'm so excited
to see, how you're going to progress now.
Yeah. I was excited. Like, my 40s are going to be awesome,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, and keep in mind, here's the thing, like, as your therapist, like, my focus is your well-being.
Right.
Right. Inside or outside of your marriage.
Right.
Like if it's not possible but remember, this is your journey.
Right.
My role isn't to try to sway you to stay, sway you to go.
Yeah, and you've been consistent with that. Thank you.
Just support you along the way and advocate for you. Either way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I'm excited for the changes. I know this is extremely difficult. I know this is chaotic. I know it's stressful. But you've been through some stress.
Yeah.
And chaos. So I'm telling you, this is not going to be. I don't feel like this is going to be as hard as living in the situation that you were in.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because Glennon Doyle, she wrote a book, and I follow a few of her things that she puts up on Facebook. And one thing she wrote this weekend that I saw, it says, it's going to be hard, but it's the right type of hard. And I'm all, yes, this is going to be hard, but it's the right type of hard now. Now it's going to be the hard where I'm working for myself and not for him.
Right.
And
And
he,
the stress and the chaos that you're going to go through on this journey, there's going to be fruit that
yeah,
comes up.
not nuggets or crumbs.
Before it was chaos, but there was no fruit.
Yeah,
You know?
just the little crumbs that he would give me once in a while.
Right, right.
And I think he wants it just as badly as me. That's why I find it miraculous that he was going through his own tornado and kicking me out right when I was starting to leave. Like there was something in the ethers that said we were done. You know, it wasn't me trying to spin it on him and hide it from him. He didn't want it either.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's too
It's true. And this is exactly what we said, is that he has to get to that point
right.
where he understands the benefit of letting this go for now.
Right.
Right. So, and I think your kids, your daughter's precious.
Yeah.
Like she's so cute, adorable.
Thanks.
And I think this is going to help them. It's going to help you. And who knows, you know, we don't know the future, you know, but I think this is going to really help you find yourself finally.
Right. I really.
And no matter what happens,
Mm-hmm.
whether you guys never get back together, whether you guys get back together in the future, you've got to commit to yourself that you're not going to compromise who you are for anybody again.
Right.
Whether it be him or somebody else, you know, be confident in who you are and the value of who you are as a person. This is where we need to focus is you finding the value in yourself and being confident in that value and who you are.
Right.
And not to compromise it for anybody again.
Right. And I really appreciate that. I was talking to my sister. She moved out of her boyfriend's house to live with my mom, so she lives here with him. And she makes good money. There's no reason for her to room with my mom. But the only reason why she did was basically she said that she read a book, and her book, the book that she read says we start off as dependent, and then right around that age we're supposed to become independent. If we don't become independent, we keep finding those people that we're dependent on. And we never graduate to interdependence, not in the way we should. And so what she recognized is that when she was living with him, she was always paying for things or doing things for him. And he basically felt emasculated, and he loves her and doesn't want to lose her, but he wanted to take back himself. Like he was introspective enough to say, I don't think we can live together right now because I don't feel very independent anymore, you know, and it wasn't anybody's fault. It was just, he needs to learn that independence piece first. And he hadn't learned it as well as he wanted to before they could do the interdependence thing. And I thought that was beautiful because I never have had independence. I've always depended on someone.
And do you know that that's one of your treatment goals, right?
Yeah. Is to find independence.
Yeah, it's hang on a second. It's basically to find the balance between dependence and independence.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at your treatment. Yeah, so one of your treatment goals is to find the balance, achieve a healthy balance between independence and dependence. Which is good because here's the thing is sometimes we look at dependence as being a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, I can't be dependent on it. But there needs to be a balance between the two. Like
Right.
It's okay to depend on other people if they're safe people.
Right. That's what I thought my friends were. I thought that they were a good person to lean on because they were healthy sources of validation and support, not the type that felt like I was fawning or being false with myself.
Right, and that's, I mean, you can take a step back and really try to evaluate those friendships. But I mean, I think realistically, like what I said about like my role is to support you in the decision you make, whether I feel like it's right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That it's your life and it's your path that you choose.
Right.
And I'm an advocate for you either way. Whichever way you go, I help support you, and that's what a friend should be. But I think friends sometimes have their own personal feelings invested in it.
Right. They got their own trauma responses and stuff. And I think what kind of messed them up, maybe, if I'm guessing, is when I started talking about it like an addiction. Because even though there is parts of my relationship that are addictive, at the end of the day, it's still a marriage. It's still a family. It's still huge, huge decisions. You don't just quit cold turkey.
No.
And so when I had a plan for March 1st, and 1 week before March 1st, I didn't leave the way they thought I should, it felt like a very conditional friendship. It felt like a very controlled and demanding, friendship. Like I'm not allowed to be supported because I didn't leave when you think I should. Are you the one living my life? Are you the one paying my bills? Are you the one going to be supporting me and on your couch when I'm falling apart?
Right. And when there's kids involved and finances involved, there's so much involved
Mm-hmm.
that it's not any decision that you can just make just to make it. Like it's
Right.
not. It seems like though the way that this played out, because I remember you telling me you were looking for the safest, most mutual way for this to happen, and it seems like the stars kind of aligned in that way.
I do think I called it to the universe or God or whatever. I think that's exactly what I asked for, because I remember seeing Karen's pillow on her couch when I was in her office. And she was talking about what it needs to look like for me to leave. And I said, it needs to be as gentle as laying on a pillow. And if it's not gentle, I don't want to do it. It can't be ugly. It can't be hateful. It can't be scary. And I understand all those things are going to come with the territory. But if I don't have this pull apart in the most softest way possible, it isn't going to feel good to my soul, and I won't want to do it. And that's what got me through the day, is how gentle it was for me to hold his hand and give him a hug goodbye, tell him I love him and I'm proud of him for what he's, going through and he's willing to admit. And I told him, I says, the worst case scenario, Jim, you and I are friends and you can rely on me to be a support to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not having to be dependent to be a friend. I don't have to do it his way to be a friend. And that's the worst case scenario in my mind. I don't see it as us being enemies or having an ugly, co-parenting thing. That was never an option in my book. That's why I fought so hard to make sure not to do it that way. And so, like you said, the marble and the plate thing, if I really didn't care how this played out, I could have just said, screw it, and not let, but I was trying so evenly to stay in this centered place, not just for myself, but for my kids and for Jim, because I knew he was suicidal with his ex before she left. I knew that he would fall apart if I just did it abruptly. I knew if I didn't leave kind and gently, he would be broken even more. And I don't need that for my kids. I don't need that for me, that guilt, that shame that I would have.
Right. Absolutely. Well, good. I'm glad that things are working out the way they are.
Yeah, I'm glad too. And I just want
How
to...
are your kids?
Huh?
How are the kids?
They seem really balanced right now.
Good.
They seemed really happy, and Matthew's having a little bit of an adjustment issue, and I just reiterated to him, I says, it's natural for anybody to have adjustment issues with something big like this. Plus your autism, Matthew, it's probably going to be 10 times harder than we can understand. So I want you to know that everything you're feeling is completely normal and completely natural, and then I would talk about, because his biggest thing that he can't stand right now is that I am so sucked into my world that I can't even listen to him for more than 2 minutes before I'm checked out.
be more present for him.
Yeah, and so we talking about game nights, and when it's nights with mom, you're going to have mom time. When you're nights with dad, dad's going to make time for you, and he's looking forward to that. And then on the way to my mom's house tonight, he says, "Mom, you're actually you actually seem smarter right now." And I go, "Maybe it's because I'm not as depressed, Bubba," you know. And he goes, "Oh, okay. I think this is a good thing." And I'm all, exactly. This isn't going to be easy for anybody, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm excited about it. I'm gonna have a hard time with this, but it's not going to be hard forever. It's going to just keep getting better and better.
Yeah. Good. Well, if you ever, you can always bring one of your kids in with us on a session. That's always your call. Like if you feel like one of them is struggling, or of course, I don't know what Jim would think about that, but
True.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think Jim would have an issue with that. And someone did ask me if we ever did family therapy where the kids were involved, and we honestly haven't.
That's all, folks.